And then moving on to our next story, Nancy, I have the brain activity patterns for girls. Is that what you
I
have
do
next?
too. That brain activity patterns may distinguish girls with autism from boys. This is where'd you find this, Shannon?
This is from Spectrum, and we certainly love Spectrum. It's a great place where we go to get a lot of our news. You guys can subscribe, and you can also get a lot of free articles from them. But they're pretty on top of things having to do with the autism spectrum. So they did not pay me to say that.
Yeah, and the layman's explanation of this article is that autistic and non-autistic girls' brains differ in activity in a way that autistic and non-autistic boys' brains do not. And that's from a new study that looks at gene expression.
Yeah, I thought this was really interesting. I think it's a good read. It's dense. I'm going to warn everybody that there's a lot of scientific things to wade through that I'm not going to pretend that I understand all of it. But, you know, we see, if anybody watches Grey's Anatomy, I'm going to relate it back to an episode that was just a couple of weeks ago on Grey's Anatomy, that there was a young girl who had to have brain surgery, and she wasn't coming out of her coma in her brain surgery. And they were doing a scan of her brain while two employees were talking about something. And somebody played, their phone rang for just a second, and music played, and parts of the girl's brain lit up in the brain scan. And it became this interesting thing where they were able to teach the girl in her coma, you know, if we want you to say yes, we want you to think about music, and this part of your brain will light up. And if we want you to say no, we want you to think about your bedroom, and this part of your brain will light up. And in that way, they could communicate with her even while she was in her coma. And I find that very fascinating because we've been looking for a long time here in the autism community at where the brain lights up differently for people who are on the autism spectrum. I remember right when Jem was diagnosed, an article came out, I think it was in Scientific America. I still have the magazine somewhere, but it was an article about mirror neurons lighting up in the brain differently for people who are on the autism spectrum. That when you and I watch the Olympics and we see the ice skater, the part of our brain that if we were ice skating lights up when we see somebody else do it. But for people on the autism spectrum, it does not. And that led to a whole bunch of research on video games and how to use avatars to teach our kids' brains how to light up their mirror neurons so that they can learn things physically. So now that we're looking at the difference between not only how do people on the autism spectrum, how do their brains light up specifically in movement things, but now we're looking at the difference between, does a boy on the spectrum's brain light up differently than a girl's spectrum on the brain? And no big surprise, they light up differently. Like, long explanation for that big duh. But I think the bigger thing is one of the reasons why they think that is. And they do think that girls have some sort of hormonal protection that can work in their favor to protect them from having the gene expression that leads to autism-like traits. But the other thing that they discovered that I don't completely understand is, I want to find what the actual word is in the article, because there is a strand of things, and for girls it is much bigger. Do you know what I'm talking about, Nancy?
Are you talking about the copy number variations, the C
That's
and
it.
B's?
Yes.
Which is duplications. And that's duplications. They found that the size of the C and B's, copy number variations, duplications or deletions of stretches of a chromosome, the larger the C and B, the more genetic elements are being disrupted, more genes.
So I don't completely understand that, but I understand that in girls, it's different. And it's not just a little different, it's a lot different. And that is something that they've got to study further. That's what I got from it.
That's what I got from it too. And it said the result bolsters the theory of the female protective effect, which suggests that girls require bigger genetic hits than boys do to show traits of the condition.
Which in and of itself is interesting because it's not saying that they're not on the spectrum. It's saying that they're not expressing it in the same way
Right.
that we are diagnosing it. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this. Anytime we see something that's significantly different, it's like another part of the puzzle. And somebody's going to put the puzzle together and figure out exactly what's going on. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.